I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a radio announcer. I'm a high school football coach. And since I was old enough to stand on the side of a stream next to my dad, I've been an angler. I've fished with bait, lures, and flies. I've fished with spinning gear, fly rods, jigging poles, and tip-ups. I've stood on ice, waded rapids, and been tossed about the deck of a boat. And I want you to love fishing, be it freshwater or salt, heavy flows, high seas, or cutting through a foot of ice, as much as I do, no matter what the quarry, no matter the tactics, no matter the chosen tackle. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman. Good Thursday afternoon, everybody. September 22nd, a gorgeous first day of fall. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN network. Fall fishing is starting to heat up as the temperatures cool down, but we're conservation heavy today because there are some big events going on and there are some big stories developing. We're going to start first with the event. They don't get any bigger scope-wise than the one we're going to talk about first, that the Connecticut River Watershed Council's Source to Sea cleanup. That is this Saturday. Alicia Sharman on the phone with us. She is a river steward for Connecticut for the CRWC, an advocate for water in Connecticut, bar none really. She's president of Farmington Valley TU. She's on the state TU council with me. She's a volunteer leader involved on a number of committees, has a bachelor's degree in biological sciences from UConn. She's worked in the biotech industry, the beverage industry. Alicia, thank you so much for taking time out of what's got to be a crazy week as you get ready for the Source to Sea.
Thank you for having me on. Yes, it's pretty busy right now with the cleanup coming up Friday and Saturday. Tomorrow and Saturday, as a matter of fact. Today's Thursday.
And this is the 20th. How did this get started?
Well, it started about 20 years ago, and with, a river cleanup, and it's been getting bigger and bigger for the last 20 years. Last year, we had more than 130 groups and 2,300 volunteers. It's a way for people to get involved in their community and, help keep trash out of our rivers and ultimately out of the ocean.
And that's what I really find interesting about this cleanup, is that you're doing it the entire length of the river. You're in, 4 states?
Yes, 4 states. It's the entire watershed. So it's not just a cleanup of the Connecticut River main stem itself, but its tributaries as well.
And some of the scope of what you've taken out over the last 20 years, we're looking at some of the graphics, 283 enough mattresses to cover a football field. I mean, that's appalling and impressive that you got that out.
It is, but there's good news on that front, because states like Connecticut, which is really big on its solid waste reduction programs, they have a mattress program where mattresses are easy to dispose of. So we're actually finding less mattresses in Connecticut because we have this great program in Connecticut. It's a similar thing for the paint cans as well. We found 578 paint cans over the past 20 years. And, we're seeing less of them now because the state of Connecticut has a program where they're easy to dispose of and free to dispose of, which are very important things when you're talking about preventing dumping and littering.
And tires are a big thing. Every time we talk about a river cleanup, you see tires being taken out. Over 8,000 tires over 20 years?
Yes. And unless something changes in Connecticut, it's going to get worse. Because right now people have to pay to dispose of tires. And Connecticut doesn't have their method for recycling the tires. Some of those things are going away. For instance, I think somewhere between 60 and 75% of Connecticut's scrap tire goes up to Maine to be burned for tire-derived fuel. Well, some of that is starting to go away, and a lot of it went away when the Sterling plant closed down. So we really need a better place for our tires to go. We need more industry here in Connecticut that can reuse those materials. So, it's unless we can make it free and easy for everyone in Connecticut, we're going to find a lot more dump tires.
And just the volume of trash, and this, I think, is illustrative of how it piles up, of how the bait containers and worm containers and bottles and whatever else is left along the river can accumulate. Over 20 years, 947 tons of trash, are the equivalent of 2 jet airplanes?
Yes, yeah, that's a lot of trash. Between 40 and 50 tons a year is what usually about the average.
40 to
that's
50
reported back to
tons
us
a year. Is it mostly large items? Is it mostly small items?
Well, the majority of it are beverage containers.
No surprise.
Plastics, glass, aluminum, and styrofoam is an issue as well, because there's a Dunkin' Donuts on every corner in New England, and because styrofoam doesn't degrade, you find Dunkin' Donuts containers, several of them, at almost any site you go clean up. So, it's the things that don't break down, obviously, that we find the most of, and some of it's small, some of it's big, but mostly it's beverage containers and food containers.
And a lot of your worms are sold in the same styrofoam containers as they sell coffee in, so they don't degrade. And a lot of this could be dealt with if you carried out what you brought in.
Yes, absolutely. Carrying out what you brought in, and also, being mindful of, you can always bring your own container in to bring worms. That's reusable. That's another way for everybody to keep trash out of our rivers, is to use as many reusable containers as we possibly can.
Now, you're river stored for Connecticut, for the Connecticut River Watershed Council. So how many cleanup sites are there in Connecticut itself?
There's about 60 in Connecticut. We have the most cleanup sites out of the whole watershed, which I'm always pleased to report. But we really want to see more in the upper parts in New Hampshire and Vermont, and Massachusetts has almost as many as Connecticut. But we have the most here in Connecticut, a lot of people that care. And if anybody wants to find out where they can participate, you can go to our website, ctriver.org. Click on Source to See Cleanup and click on Join a Group, and you can see where there is a group cleaning up near you that is accepting participants.
So
and you have that map up right now.
So there is still an opportunity. Anybody who's listening to this could go to your website and register and volunteer, and that's ctriver.org, and click on the link for the Source to See Cleanup. And you could volunteer, and you can see that there is still a need. The encouraging number I took from the data that you sent was more than 25,000 volunteers over the course of 20 years. That was the rough equivalent of the population of Keene, New Hampshire.
Yep, and that's the number we want to see get bigger. That's the only number we want to see grow tremendously, is the amount of people involved. Because the more people that get involved, the more people that care about the river, and that's important as well.
Now, what other events does the Connecticut River Watershed Council have coming up?
We don't have any big events coming up immediately.
Right.
We'll start ramping some other things up in the spring. We hope to continue with our river herring program. Nothing big coming up in the next few months. We're all involved in Source to See and trying to get through that right now. So, but there are always ways to get involved and stay connected with the river. Our monitoring program is going through October. We're monitoring 5 sites for E. coli on the Connecticut River. So you can go to connecticutriver.us, click on Is It Clean to see that map, to see how clean the river is in the areas you're either boating, swimming, or fishing. And of course, like us on Facebook and sign up for our e-newsletters to keep up with what's going on.
Right, just visit that, and that's ctriver.org for the Connecticut River Watershed Council. Again, you can still volunteer for Source to See. If you go to ctriver.org, you can find out where they need people. Join. It'll be 2,000 volunteers. And it sounds like a huge number, and I'm impressed that 25,000 people have done it, but it doesn't reflect the number of people who fish and boat in that river. And it's certainly 2,000 people is not enough to clean from the Long Island Sound all the way up into the mountains of Vermont and New Hampshire. We need more help.
That's a good point, Jack. Thank you.
So, Alicia, I'm going to let you go and get back to planning for this monumental undertaking, which I salute you and the whole CRWC for doing it. And we're going to help promote this again in the future. We're going to talk more about your efforts on the Connecticut River. Again, Source to Sea Cleanup, that is Friday and Saturday, the 23rd and 24th. If you can volunteer, you can still do so at ctriver.org. If you want to help in another way, plenty on the website, ways you can help the Connecticut River Watershed Council. Alicia Sharman, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with the cleanup this weekend.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back with more Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop. The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
As you're getting back to your regular schedules, we're excited to get back to doing what we do best, offering you the freshest seasonal fare and all the ingredients for a healthy start to school. So shop Walter Stewart's for everything fresh, and candy grapes to back to nature all-natural snack bags. We save you time by stocking all of your favorite back-to-school essentials under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Players have access to soccer, lacrosse, football, baseball and softball, field hockey, rugby, basketball, volleyball, and social game facilities. InSports has also launched an early childhood development program, a daycare and pre-K program all rolled into one. Don't miss out on the fun. Find out more at insportscenters.com or call 203-268-1214. Like and follow us on Facebook.
At Mex on Main, Trumbull's very own Mexican Grill, we're all about fresh, fast, and friendly service. Our Main Street restaurant offers the best in traditional and non-traditional Mexican dishes, with only the best ingredients, never frozen. From authentic burritos, fajitas, quesadillas, and salads, we have something on the menu for everyone in the family. And enjoy our open salsa bar, giving you more ways to customize your meal. Stop in for lunch or dinner at 6528 Main Street, Trumbull, or find out more at mexonmain.com.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop, Thursday, September 22nd. Autumn has begun as of 10:21 this morning. We can start thinking about fishing. The water temperatures are going down. We still desperately need rain. A lot of the rivers are low, so continue to exercise care if you're catch and release fishing on some of these sites. They've reopened them. They've taken away some of the restrictions other than up at where the Furnace Brook meets the Hoosey. That remains in effect. That was extended last week until the 29th. We'll try to get an update on that for next week's show. Story that's been unfolding that's going to affect one of the most important native trout rivers in the Northeast is the potential development of South Park in Easton. That land abuts the Mill River. Some people around here know it as the Prayer Center. It was purchased by Easton with an eye toward leasing it to the Prayer Center. That deal couldn't happen. Easton still owes over $4 million on it. They don't want it to be a burden to the taxpayers. They were trying to prevent affordable housing from going there. They're looking to find a way to recoup that money. There's been a lot of debate. People say it's not worth keeping it undeveloped. People say it can be developed safely. Some people want it left undeveloped. Citizens for Easton recently unveiled a proposal to create a park there. Our Brian Hafley was there for the Easton Courier, which has been covering this and has numerous stories about the South Park debate at eastoncourier.com. Let's take a look at the night. Among the speakers, James Prosek, angler, artist, and future guest, we hope, on Yankee Fisherman.
We've been doing this. We have a couple of slides which tell you what we have been doing as Citizens for Easton. Any one of you who wants to join up with us, please feel free to do so. We are not, as some people have suggested, a bunch of troublemakers. We really try to preserve the Easton that we know and love. I have said many times, Easton is a jewel in Fairfield County. It is an amazing town that is not replicated anywhere around here. If you want development, there's plenty of towns to go to. I hope that Easton is not one of those. I'm giving you a chance to read. Now, what we're moving to now is a couple of slides on what we think should be Mill River Park. We're very much open to this. We think that it would be very important, not only for us, we've got it, and some of us are getting older, and we'll perhaps go from this town someplace else besides another town. But I do think that we've got a generation coming up that really needs what we've got here in Easton, and I would urge everyone to support this. And this is something that goes along with the education, is educating the next generation. That's a wonderful place to do the education. I remember that when I was, years ago, when my kids were in school, they went up to nature's classroom. We have nature's classroom in our backyard, and we should keep it. As one of our speakers before us said, kids can unplug there and make memories. And it really is a great place to make memories. And we sort of get into a summary now. We believe that for financial reasons, for planning and zoning reasons, and for protection of national resources, natural resources, and for a lot more reasons, which I'll be happy to discuss with you individually anytime you want, we should keep this. We should not sell this property. We should create the Mill River Park.
I hope that the generation before us will be proud of my generation of Eastonites, that we're going to stand up and fight to keep Easton what it is. They fought for a lot of things like, Trout Brook Valley. We were in that same situation. So we need to remember that our legacy of my generation of people who just moved here, who have committed to make Easton our home for the next generation, are going to keep Easton special, an oasis of green in Fairfield County that doesn't exist anywhere else around here. We have access to the city, we can work in the city, we can touch the financial markets, the arts community in the city, and still work from our homes, because that's what it is today. And that's what we do. We love this town, and we were really proud to make it our forever home this past year, and I hope that we will continue to preserve something special and unique.
What Lila was saying. And so I want to make sure that we are financially responsible and responsible for our environment. And I think we need to remember that it's not only people moving to town that are elderly, and I appreciate that comment, but people are coming to the town with children and they want the schools. And year after year I hear people coming after the education budget, and we have to find a way within the town to start helping to pay for that, because obviously not everybody wants their taxes going up every year, not everybody wants, but if you're not willing to pitch in and help the younger generation get the education that your children are able to get, because everything gets more expensive each and every year, as much as everybody doesn't want to believe it. It gets more expensive and we have to pay for it. Then I would want to get some real proposals to feed some income into this town. There has to be some give and take. So I am willing to support preservation, but I also would like to get support for education, which we fight there's some people in the town every single year.
No more, approximately 20 acres in the kind of core are the housing proposal, the two different pool proposals, as well as the senior housing proposal. Is there any way that your resources would suggest that maybe that's a sufficient divvying up of the land? Is there any way to study that on your end to see whether, and I understand, personally in CFE may be most interested in full preservation, but if we didn't go that way, could we find a way to use your resources to make sure that we do protect that buffer area?
One of the things that has been suggested, and we tried to do it tonight, is we tried to make a positive proposal as opposed to telling you why you shouldn't do the other proposals. I've got plenty of reasons for telling you why you shouldn't do the other proposals. I suppose the first thing that came to my mind when you started saying this, Bob, was the nose of the camel in the tent. Pretty soon there's not going to be room for me in the tent because the home camel's in there. And I don't want to speak negatively, but let's take an educational institution for a moment and forget Sacred Heart. Just any educational opportunity goes down there and they say, okay, great, we're going to put fields on a third of the land down there and we're just going to use it for practice fields. And 5 years from now, as I said sort of in my presentation, we do have a proposal, we do have a possibility of a special application permit, special permit application. And then the educational institution comes back and said, gee, we really didn't realize it. We really wanted to keep this for baseball fields, but all of a sudden the students are bursting out of our school and we've got to put up a dorm there. And everybody said, no dorm, you didn't ask for that. You asked for practice fields. And they make an as-of-right application under the special permit portion of our zoning regulations. And even if we exercise, our Planning and Zoning Commission exercises its duty and says, no, you can't really do that, then look what happened with affordable housing up the way. And the same thing can happen down there. And as a matter of fact, that's how we wound up with the property, because it was affordable housing. So my answer is no. I don't think that we should have anything down there. I think it is a small price to pay for a wonderfully unique parcel of property in a wonderfully unique town.
Most of the comments, many of the comments we get are about protection of the Mill River. And in fact, the Board of Selectmen has always said that too. That's a primary concern. So it may not be fair to ask you, but I'm sure you'll have your opinion anyway. I mean, it's maybe similar to what Bob said. You think, I mean, and the site is partially developed now, frankly. I mean, there's a house, a barn, and a couple outbuildings on there now. Is it your view that there's no development that is consistent with protection of the river? I mean, nothing can happen? 2 houses, nothing can happen that wouldn't be fatally deleterious to the condition of the river?
Well, as I remember, with nothing on there, they managed to drop chlorine in and poison the river. I suggest that even with nothing on there, there are dangers. Yeah, I hate to take a hard line. Maybe I don't have to take a hard line, but I really do think that we should not develop that property at all.
Part of the reason I moved here was for my daughter. I have a 4.5-year-old. And while the taxes are obscene, compared to most of the places I live, I think it's worth it, and I would not want to merge the school issue with the land issue. I will say this, the notion of losing that open space would contradict every reason why I moved here. Right? I love the fact that there's an open space. I love the fact that I can 5 hours a day, so I can live here, but I can drive home, and I can see the sun through the trees, and I can see the mist, and I can see the fog, And I can dodge deer with my cars. And it concerns me that the character of the town, personality of the town, would change such that at some point I look at it and go, I'm back in the Bronx, very congested, not a lot of open space, fighting over little parcels of land. Maybe I should move somewhere else. So again, I want the good schools. I'm willing to pay the taxes for that. That's why I'm here. But not at the sacrifice of losing the open space that we had. That's all I have to say.
I worked on this website with Laura Moglen. She did most of the work, called the MillRiverHeritageProject.com. If you have a chance to look at it, it just sort of outlines why, for some reasons, why it's important to prevent development on this property, because as some of the other comments mentioned, it's impossible to know what's going to happen when you start developing something, especially on a large scale. And you just can't, there's too many unknown factors, there's too many things that can go wrong. So it's better, of course, to not do it. I realize there's a money component involved. So I just wanted to say that, as a citizen of this town, I support, I think, what CFE is proposing, which is to keep it as open space. If trout, this is one of the most unique resources in the state of Connecticut. It's very rare to have native brook trout living in a stream. And there's only a handful of places in the state where the conditions exist so that these trout can reproduce on their own. They've been doing it since the last glaciation 13,000 years ago. So I'd like to see them continue to, have sex in the river.
Interesting stuff. We're going to stay on top of that. Thanks to Nancy Doniger at the Easton Courier for following that story. Brian Hafley for the video. We'll step out for a minute. When we come back, we'll put a wrap on Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop. The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
I'm a filthy rich executive. I hear the market's down 1,000,000 points. I freak out. I spill my large espresso. The searing pain makes me slam on the brakes. Uh-oh, your fault. And your cut rate insurance may not cover my $90,000 car, so I sue you, because that's what I do. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Visit your local Allstate agent, Nick Montanero, at 6528 Main Street in Trumbull for a personalized quote.
Washington Prime, now open on Main Street in Georgetown. Come enjoy our relaxed setting, excellent service, award-winning nightly happy hours, and feast on our creative new American cuisine. Connecticut Magazine's winner for Best Steak, Washington Prime of Georgetown.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook. What's happening up in Hartford and what's trending in the Nutmeg State?
Join Kate Chaplinski
And Josh Fisher
on CT Pulse live Wednesdays at 12:30 to find out.
We talk to the leaders and newsmakers while breaking down the stories you should be paying attention to each week.
With the help of HAN's editorial cartoonist Doug Smith, we take a humorous look at the news of the week. We talk about everything you were told you should avoid bringing up in polite company.
CT Pulse, Wednesdays at 12:30 on the HAN Network.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ing for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Thursday, where we bring you all the top stories from Connecticut sports.
From highlights to player interviews and expert analysis, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. This Thursday, September 22nd. Try to get out this weekend and fish or help out with the river cleanup on the Connecticut River, one of the many other environmental activities that are going on out there. A lot of conservation getting done. A lot of it needs to get done. Just some news here today, the last day to RSVP for Any Bassin's inaugural banquet. That's going to be at Anthony's Ocean View in New Haven. That's Tuesday, October 18th. Starts with cold hors d'oeuvres at 6 p.m. You can check out the Any Bassin website or Facebook page. Our friend Steve Colton is going to visit the Narragansett chapter of TU. That is on Wednesday, the 28th, up in West Greenwich, Rhode Island. You find more information on that on their website. Connecticut Fund for the Environment Save the Sound will hold its annual meeting on Sunday the 25th. That's at the Connecticut Science Center up in Hartford. Kurt Spalding, who's an EPA expert on the mitigation of regional nitrogen pollution, will speak. That's a free event. Our friends at O-Search are tagging sharks off Nantucket now, having wrapped up Expedition New York. Heard from them yesterday. They had at least one great white follow one of their lures. We're going to have more on the science behind what they do on a future Yankee Fisherman. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. 2 o'clock, come back. Nutmeg Sports. Frank Granito is going to get us ready for Saturday's big football game, on which yours truly will be on the call. He'll have Connor Langen, the Greenwich High School quarterback, as they get ready to take on Darien. Coffee break will get you started tomorrow at 11. Till next week, tight lines.